Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gabe from Prime Lacrosse, aka Coach Gabe. I'm so happy that you guys joined us today because we have two very special guests to talk about a very special thing that we will be doing this summer. So let's dive into it. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Gabriel. Everybody calls me Coach Gabe. I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, I'm on email. That sounds like a very old thing to say, but that's what I'm on. And today we're going to be talking about a new club program in Southern California, specifically in Orange County, and it's called Prime Lacrosse Club. And this is, well, I won't even get into it. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and introduce our coaches. So I'm going to bring in our first coach, who I've been pronouncing her name wrong for like months, but I apologize. Go ahead, Coach Ona, introduce yourself. Tell us your name, how long you've been inside the sport of lacrosse, and what you do currently right now in terms of coaching.
Thanks for having me. My name is
Yes.
Coach Ona. And I have been, so let's see. I started playing back my freshman year in high school. So I went to Los Alamitos High School in Orange County, played all 4 years there, kind of before Orange County was a hotbed of lacrosse. We had it in Los Al, we had it at Los Al, we had it at the South County schools, and then the schools kind of in the middle, it was spread out. So I grew up playing then, and then I went on to play Division II in Colorado. After that, I coached for a year out in the same place I went to school, so Colorado State Pueblo. I coached D2 for a year and then moved back, and now I coach kind of all around Southern California, and I coach at Mater Dei High School as well. So I've been there this is my 4th year. So yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Coach Jay, why don't you jump in?
Just making sure that you guys can hear me because it might be a little dodgy on my end with the connection. But thank you for
It's okay.
having me.
We got you.
I'm Jade. Thank you so much. Let's see. Same thing as Ane. I started my freshman year of high school, played for all 4 years there. Honestly fell in love with the sport of lacrosse while I was in high school. I cannot get enough of it. Going into my adult years after high school, I jumped around a couple adult clubs, I'm not gonna lie, but the main one I was playing for was San Diego Lacrosse Club. And that was really where I was honing in on, higher level lacrosse and playing with girls that, I had never even gotten to compete against in California. We're seeing girls coming from the East Coast that have graduated college from there and coming down to California to play. And it's just really good. It's a really great club for casual play. And not only that, but I got to meet so many people from that. So I've been playing with San Diego for about 3 years now, on and off casually. And I recently just started playing in the last 2 to 3 years with Philippines lacrosse. So I've been playing with them for, again, like 2 to 3 years. And I recently just started coaching for them this past winter. So that's been really exciting. I also coach at Temecula Valley, where I went to high school, and I've been coaching there this is my 5th season coaching now. If you don't count the COVID year in between, then we can say 6, but it's really 5 years. But yeah, so that's where I'm at now.
That's dope. That's dope. Appreciate
Nice.
y'all sharing. I'll just jump into a little bit of my background. I don't know if you guys all know my background, but I'm going to give it anyway. So I am the only one here who does not have experience playing lacrosse, especially girls lacrosse, as you could tell by the fantastic beard right here. I just not play lacrosse. I grew up in LA. We didn't have the sport. Played every other sport you could think of, all the traditional Southern California sports, soccer, basketball, football, baseball, played them all growing up. But lacrosse was not one of the offerings. And, it's really still not an offering out here. I'm in Altadena, and it's just not an offering. So, grew up playing every other sport. How did I get involved in it? Well, basically, I was working as athletic director for LA County Parks and Rec, and I was handling every other sport. Like I said, we did every other sport. And my boss at the time over the East Agency, because there's 3 agencies in LA County, north, south, and east. We don't worry about the west. They're annexed. They're bye-bye. But he said, we're going to do girl-specific sports. I said, okay, cool. Let's do basketball. Let's do volleyball. Let's do soccer. Let's do softball. Cool. Those are easy to do. We got the facilities for it. We got the people that know how, blah, blah, blah. He said, that sounds good, but we're also going to do girls lacrosse. And I said, what? What are we doing? I said, that's the dumbest idea in the world because we don't know what we're doing with this and we don't have the facilities. Because I looked it up. I'm like, look, you need a turf field. You need 100 yards. Like, you're going to start smacking kids? No, this is not going to work. Anyways, he said, no, we're going to modify it. It's a sport of the future. It's going to be a lot of opportunities for your kids. We're going to do it. I said, okay, boss says we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Fast forward, we run registration for our first season and we get 0 kids. Absolutely nobody. I mean, we had to make it free. We still couldn't give it away for free. No one knew what it was. No one wanted to play it. So I had a girls basketball team, which registration was easy for to recruit. I had to bribe them all. I bribed them all with pizza parties at the end of the season, banquets, and giveaways, and I was able to convert them into lacrosse players. And so we started our first season with 4 parks, and a lot of the parks bought boys equipment because we didn't know what we were buying. And so there were some parks competing with boy sticks and some competing with girl sticks, and it was some kids had helmets, some kids had goggles. We just kind of did our own thing. So fast forward from that, the girls that really bought into it, they wanted to do more. So I said, you know what, let me really look into this because I was a little skeptical still. And I looked into it and I was like, this is a pretty neat sport. It's America's oldest sport. There seems to be a lot of opportunities for kids to play, even past high school. So let me do something. So just got really into it, watched a whole bunch of TLN videos, the Lacrosse Network, watched a whole bunch of Paul Rabel early on. And I kind of was like, that's pretty sweet. And then I just decided to jump into a pickup game in Glendale and I got wrecked. I thought I was something special. Nope. Couldn't get past the pole. But still loved it. My kids then got picked up by a club team. Someone heard about us, our little ghetto park, and heard about our kids. And they were like, oh, you guys should come out to this club team, right? And that's how I got involved in the club space. So I coached for LA Wave for a long time. Coached briefly for a club team that's no longer in existence called Slingshot. Coached my own club team called Legion. I was also the director of that. That was quite some years ago now. And then I've coached high school. I've coached 2 different high schools, La Cañada High School as an assistant, and then Saugus High School as a head coach. I've also run a rec league, girls rec league in Santa Clarita for 3 seasons. Or actually, more about 6 seasons. 3 years, 6 seasons, because we did 2 seasons. And I also run a youth organization called Kids Lacrosse, where that's not super competitive or anything like that. It's just come out and play. We provide all the sticks, the equipment, make it super cheap, all that good stuff. So that was kind of my introduction into lacrosse and what I've done in the sport since then. And now I just train. I don't coach any high schools. Not like you ladies right there. You guys coach, and God bless you. It's a long season. I do not miss that season.
It's a long season.
To keep it short with personal training. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But it's fun. It's fun. So, so that's who I am. But let's talk about why we're here today. So, as a trainer, I've had the opportunity to train kids from all over, literally all over the country, even some parts of the world, Japan, the Netherlands, right? Germany, kids that have flown in, right? Not me going out there, but they've flown in and they've trained with me. And it's been such an amazing opportunity. But for the girls that are, and I primarily train girls, but for the girls who are at home, a big couple of things continually come up, especially when we're talking about club. And these things are a very common story and a very common trend. And it's not for everybody. I don't want to paint that picture that everyone experiences this. No, but a good amount do. So what is that? What am I beating around the bush about? It is about the current club opportunities and how they are being run. And so I'll give you an example, and you ladies can chime in to tell me your experiences and maybe some of the thoughts that your kids have had. But a lot of the times the sentiments that these kids have, and the reason why they come to me, is because they just don't feel like they're getting enough skill work or the opportunity to flex those skills with minimal game time. And these kids typically, they range in terms of skill level. Sometimes they're very high skilled, sometimes they're very new. But a very common trend is, hey, I wish my coach would give me a little bit more feedback. And some clubs do a great job. I don't want to paint the picture like it's all clubs and is whack or anything like that. Like, that's not the picture I'm trying to paint. I know some of these guys and gals, they do a fantastic job, phenomenal coaches. But because I've heard it so much over the years, I said, okay, that's one thing, is I wish I had more skill development in my practices, but it's very hard to do skill development. You guys chime in on this, and when we talk about skill development, in 2 days or 1 day of practice. I don't know about you, but when I've played all my other sports and I'm trying to get really good at it, I'm putting in 3 to 4 to 5 days. You know what I mean? And this is not even in club. This is just for like rec, because that's the kind of, animal I was. I was just like, I need to get really good at this, so I'm going to spend an absorbent amount of time working on skill work. And we did that like typically in some of our rec practices and stuff like that. This is way before club was a thing, again, back in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that. So that's one aspect. I don't know, is that fair to say? Is that something that you guys see maybe outside in the market right now with some club, not all club teams, because like for example, Mad Dogs has their academy, right? So they're putting out extra work, right? And that's really good in terms of a club that is not just providing the field sessions, which is mostly consisting of tactics, because you have to spend time learning the plays, learning the spacing, learning the defensive, measures and stuff like that. But you also have to spend time building skills, right? Am I right here, or am I off a little bit? Is this kind of what you guys see or hear? Anybody can jump in.
I think it's a great idea. I'm not saying every kid is like this, because every kid has different levels of what they do over the summer, what they really like, are where they want to spend their time. And for the kids who do, they live, love, breathe lacrosse. Do I think it's important to have an identity outside of sport? Absolutely. But for the kids who genuinely want to just go out there and play every single summer, and then really when you have those kids, you also typically have kids that really want to hone in on their skills. So I think that this is an awesome experience where kids could, A, get the game time that they need, B, hone in on the skills, and then C, just have fun doing it all together.
100%.
And I think that if you can get a kid to work hard and have fun at the same time, they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, because we didn't even get there yet, but we will, talking about our club and what we're going to be doing specifically for Prime. And I'll just kind of like fill in those pieces right there. So what Coach Ona is talking about is we're going to be doing 5 days a week for Prime Club, Prime Lacrosse Club. We're going 5 days a week. Now, this is not a very common thing amongst clubs. And I've talked to clubs really all across the country. I have, a lot of contacts back east, a lot of contacts in the south, and, they tell me kind of what the club, scene looks like. And this is not a very common thing, In fact, the reason why we're doing 5 days a week is because of my inspiration, who is Kobe Bryant. He had his Mamba girls basketball team practicing 5-6 days a week. And the reason why he did that is to get the most consistency. I don't think he even charged them. I mean, hey, I would love to get to that one day. But he did that because he wanted the girls to advance at a very accelerated rate. And for you girls as high school coaches, that, like, say, if you only were limited to 1 or 2 days of practice a week, that would be very challenging to, have the same impact that you would if you had more days of practice, right?
I just want to chime in on that real quick. So I coach at Temecula Valley High School, and in the Temecula area, there's maybe, I kind of want to expand, not just the Temecula area, but I would say really the IE area. There's not a ton of lacrosse clubs as there are on like closer to the coast. I think a lot of the clubs you can find in the San Diego and like more in the Orange County area. But in our area, the biggest opportunity you have to practice lacrosse is at high school practice. And the hardest thing about that is that you're having to navigate around other sports and other seasons. They're also dealing with school, and they don't want to commute, or a lot of kids have a hard time commuting an hour and a half away just to get more reps in lacrosse. So high school, I'm kind of put in a position to where I'm having to make a schedule that's 2 to 3 days a week. Now we're at 4 days a week since the start of December, and they're already feeling like sometimes it may be a little overwhelming combined with everything else. So without that club opportunity, my high school practices are pretty much booked up for 4 days out of their week. But it has to be that way because, again, having an opportunity to play club or another source of just touching the ball is kind of difficult for kids in my area for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And working at USA Lacrosse for the last 5-6 years, I know the numbers from Fresno all the way down to the border. And a lot of people tend to think for some reason that lacrosse is growing in California. It's actually not. It's actually losing participation, especially at the rec level. And the rec stuff is a direct look into what the high school seasons are going to look like. And, it's really suffering. I would say lacrosse in Southern California specifically, not Northern California, they have a whole different operating system and they have way more players than we do in terms of their youth participation, has had around maybe like 15,000 youth players from Fresno all the way down, but those numbers fluctuate up and down every year. And so there are not a lot of opportunities to play outside of your high school season in these, emerging areas like the IE, right? Or say like the San Fernando Valley, right? They got a couple high schools out there. Santa Clarita has 4 high schools that have lacrosse, interestingly enough, but the Antelope Valley, right? Santa Barbara used to be very strong, but not strong anymore. They have like 1 club team and maybe 3 high school teams, right? But they're all spread out, but they don't have a big youth following. So, all that to say, if you do have that club opportunity for the girls or the guys, like if it was a guys club that want to do more, being able to do 5 days a week and get some really solid training in for a limited time periodization is really good, I would say. So let's talk about that really quick. And I'm going to just run through some quick facts and then we'll get back to our question. So what is Prime Club? Okay, people have been asking me, I don't know if they've asked you, but they've asked me, what is it all about? So number one, it's a summer-only program. Now, the reason why we're doing summer is because kids are out of school and they could get to trainings a lot easier. And so our club is going to service kids from San Diego, from Orange County, from LA, and maybe from beyond. Who knows? But the reason why we're doing it in summer is because of that big factor, is getting the access and getting the field time. And also the other benefits as well, getting in the weight room. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this, about getting strong for the season. Film study, understanding nutrition. We're going to have people come in and talk about nutrition for our kids to make sure that they are fueling their bodies the correct way. Also, recruitment. One of the big things that parents always talk about is, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. Should I sign up for this service? Should I go to this showcase? Should I do this, that, the other? Well, we're going to make this thing very clear and very concise so that we can remove all ambiguity from your whole lacrosse journey as a parent and as a player. I think that is a lot of cause for consternation and frustration. Not just knowing, like, what should I be doing if I want to go play in college? Also, what college offerings are there? Like, I know there's NCAA. We all heard of D1. We all know Boston College, Maryland, Syracuse, Northwestern. We all know. But what about D2, D3? I think there's a lot of great options that people are just not privy to there. And then also NAIA, the private school circuit. How about that? Can we get some of that? I got a couple kids in that circuit right now. They have
very underrated
time, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then let's just say we're not getting recruited, but you just still want to stay tied to the sport, but you don't want that big commitment. How about the club circuit, right? The club circuit is a very fun circuit. In fact, I'm going to be filming at a college club tournament up in Santa Barbara this weekend. So it's really fun. I mean, the kids that come out, they're still putting in work and they want to stay attached, but maybe they have a very rigorous academic load. And so they just don't want that type of 5-day-a-week program, right? So there's lots of options out there for kiddos and families to consider, but there's not a lot of good information out there, unfortunately. And I've been in the game for probably like 12 years now in terms of like the coaching and the guidance, and it's tough out there. So we're going to make that all clear. And alongside the other benefits of the club, because we're going to be so just day in, day out working together, there's going to be a really good opportunity to build team chemistry, to build trust, and to have a good time, to grow really as a family. I know a lot of teams say they are a family or they're building team chemistry, but it's really hard to do that, again, when it's only 1 to 2 days of team practices. And what you typically see, and this is what I hear, I get all the tea for some reason because I'm a trainer, I'm not attached to a team. Oh, well, they got their cliques over there and coach has their favorites over there. And, that's how it always goes. But I'm just like, okay, well, we're going to be together a lot. Now, we might not always like each other. That's cool. That's totally cool. That's what happens in sports. But we will definitely know each other. We are definitely going to know when she zigs, I zag, right? Because we're going to be spending so much time working through the process, going through the grinder, right? Suffering together, which I think builds some really good bonds. So that's just kind of like an overview of Prime Lacrosse Club. If you guys want more information, I'll put the link in the description below. Go ahead and check out that link and fill out the interest form. So with that being said, let me ask you coaches the question, what made you want to be part of Prime Club? There's a lot of other clubs out there, I'm sure, vying for your coaching talents, but what made you guys want to be part of this type of club?
You want me to go first?
Jump in.
Okay, I'll go ahead and go first. So
Go for it.
okay, I was gonna say you can absolutely go first, but okay.
I can go if you want.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
All right. I think, Coach Gabe, like you've never played the sport, but you have such a passion and a love for sport, and it's not just a paycheck. It's the culture that you're trying to build, and I think I share a lot of the same values of I just want to build, I want the kids, like how I say at my high school team, I want them to have the best 4 years experience possible, and I want the same thing for them no matter where they play club or what they do outside of it. I just want them to have the best experience, and I really think that with how much time and effort that you've been putting into it, it's especially just on the culture side, that is something that I definitely want to be a part of, and I definitely want to impact those kids' lives as well, just like that. So
absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I set out when I reached out to both of you. It's like, look, I don't want to just build another X's and O's program, shuffle them in, shuffle them out, like I don't even know, like maybe you might get cut, we don't talk to you after, I don't even I don't check in on you. That's not the program that I want to build. And I want to make sure that, like you said, we give these kids an awesome experience. Like they get the most for their money, right? The most bang for their buck. And we'll talk about that, the price of what it is, because we're totally transparent here. It's not a cheap club. It's not. But you know what is very competitive with the other clubs out there. And the reason I say that is because we are throwing the whole kitchen sink at this program. And, we might have to adjust. We might have to edit some things. That people make mistakes. Like we're going to do our best, our very best. But we're going to throw the whole kitchen sink, and we really care about the kids that are part of our program. So I'll go ahead and kick it to Jade. Why? What made you want to be part of the club? A Prime Club, to be your prime, Jade.
To be my prime. Well, first of all, I kind of have to agree with Ane and say that, like, I think our values are very similar. We're really invested in the growth and development of, like, the individual athlete. And I feel like this opportunity, especially, the structure of how we're running this program is going to be very beneficial to their development. Not only are they getting field practice, but they're also potentially getting film. We talk about strength training a little bit, and we even put in like a little bit of mindfulness as a player. When you're working 5 days a week, and this team is going to be a lot of people that are pretty like-minded. We're all kind of after the same goal. We want to develop, we want to grow, and we want to be, some really competitive game players. And I would love to be part of a culture that, thrives on that aspect of being a game player. We're here to play great lacrosse and to build character on the field, off the field, and play with honor. And, all of our effort is going to mean something out there, and it's going to show. And I just want to touch on to what you said before about, about being a family and trying to grow that relationship with each other. I think it's going to grow significantly with the amount of intensity that these players are going to be putting in, and when we start putting this roster together, we're absolutely going to be looking for people that are willing to grow culture in that way as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something to be said about, suffering, physical suffering in terms of like physical exertion, running. I played, high school football, high school basketball. And I remember during high school football season, we had Hell Week for 2 weeks, and we had to stay at the school. And we were up at 2, 3 in the morning running stairs together. You don't think that builds a bond with your teammates to go through
it's
some
like
shared
trauma bonding.
experiences like that? It's like trauma bonding. But you know what? We became so much better, obviously. It taught us a very valuable lesson. At least it did for me. At a very young age, I still, or at an older age now, I'm 36 now, I still look back at those experiences and I say, you know what? I thought I was going to crumble. I thought I was going to break. But, with the support of my coaches and my teammates, I was able to make it through. And even I look back today and I still kind of rely upon those experiences to say, you know what? No, I could push through. There's another level I could go to. You know what I mean? And having the support of your teammates on the sideline being like, no, let's go. You got it, Gabe. Don't quit. All that stuff. Man, I felt so much support, you know what I mean? And that's super powerful, I think. And I think, that is one of the reasons why we're going 5 days a week too, because again, you're not just going to get the benefits of having more touches on the ball, because that's a big thing. We're going to talk about that in a second, the development of the program. But you're going to get a chance to really, really get to know your teammates, because that's another common issue that we run into. Like, unless you're that type of player, you're here, like all the way up here, right? And you can just kind of connect with everybody. You're a field general. You kind of got it like that, right? Not everyone is like that. Majority of players are not like that. So it takes a little bit of time to learn your teammates. And especially like if you're guesting for a team, or maybe let's paint a more common scenario. You have a couple kids in a club that all kind of play around the same area, recreation, high school, whatever. And then you get some other kids that come in, maybe don't have anybody else that played with them. Now you got to kind of jive with them. And so a common thing is like, I just don't have any chemistry with them. Like, they know the plays, they know the things, they kind of have their patterns, their ways, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's because, you only get 1 day of practice. So it's hard to do that. I couldn't do that. So we're going to change that, narrative. We're going to flip the script on it, and we're going to really get to know each other through the process of grinding, lots of work, lots of running, lots of lifting, lots of passing, lots of all that stuff. It's going to be great. I love it. I love it so much. And, I will say this. Obviously, I didn't grow up playing the sport on the guy side either. And, it's so fun. I love it. It's basketball. I'm not going to lie, is my favorite sport. But lacrosse is very close. It's a close number 2. And it's so similar. It's so free-flowing. And especially in the girls' game, too. Like, I liken more of the girls' game to basketball and the guys' game to football. Because, obviously, the physicality differences. But the girls' game, you could get so creative. And it's so much more finesse, man. It's so awesome. And once you see someone who's worked their butt off and maybe couldn't catch in a season, and now all of a sudden they come back one season later, man, night and day difference. It's beautiful to watch. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about development, because I think that is the biggest part of the program. And that is the reason why I wanted to create Prime Lacrosse Club, is because of the development piece. And now let me just provide a little bit of context. And I know I talk a lot, so I'm going to throw it to you guys to talk for the next hour, but that's okay. So in terms of development, as a trainer, right? I've had kids that would come in and maybe spend 1 day a week with me. And then I would give them homework. Hey, go work on this. What did your coaches give you feedback for? Oh, they gave you feedback for this. Okay, let's work on this. Here's how you're going to develop your game. And I always give them the analogy. It's kind of like reading a book. Let's just say it's a 300-page book and you want to read it to completion by the end of the summer, but you only read 1 page a day. Well, sure, you're going to get there. Maybe not by the end of the summer, but you're going to get there eventually. But it's just going to take a very long time. So why don't we put in a couple extra pages a day? Maybe 15 to 20 to 30. That's probably a little bit too much. But, let's start reading a little bit more so we can get to our end goal a little bit faster. And so the girls that would work with me, and the guys too, in terms of training, like 3 days a week or 4 days a week, you can see them accelerate so much faster. Or I'll give you this little one. Some of the girls that would work maybe 1 or 2 days of work, 2 days a week, but yet still put in the work on their own because they were hungry and they wanted to reach their goals a little bit faster, they would get that. And you would see such a night and day difference. I got a couple kids in my mind where you could see like total shift in terms of their performance and their abilities. So that is the Invictus for creating Prime Club. And I think we just lost Coach Ona.
Yeah,
we'll
I think
bring
she
her back in here.
had some connection issues.
Yeah, she had some connection issues, but that's all right. We'll bring her back in a second. But talk to me about why development in terms of the number of days is so important for the growth of any player.
To me, it's really about consistency. I mean, I think there's a difference between the player that, hits the wall once a week versus a player who hits the wall about 3 to 4 times a week. They're going to develop those skills a little bit faster with repetition, and not just repetition, but it's what term am I trying to think of? Use it or lose it. Use it or lose it. You're going to keep the skills that you develop.
Use it or lose it. Yeah.
Use it or lose it. So you keep the skills that you develop only if you're still working at them and keeping them consistent. It's the same thing as muscle growth. If you work out once a month, you're going to lose that muscle development in the next couple of weeks unless you work at it. So I think that another piece that we can add on to that is, I think I talked about this when we had our conversations a little bit ago, but the mental fortitude of, being consistent every single week and working at things every single week. Those mental reps are just as important as your physical reps. And especially if you're taking care of yourself mentally, to prepare to put yourself in situations where you're going to be working at those things day in and day out, week after week. And again, I want to comment on your comment earlier when you said, it's a long season. Lacrosse is a long season. And a lot of people who will thrive understand that and have the mental fortitude to continue on through it. The people who don't understand that it is a long season and does require repetition and practicing, and the reps are the most important thing in this game, especially if you're not working at it outside of high school lacrosse. It's a mental and physical game. So I think that, the players who do at least touch the ball a little bit 3 to 4 times a week are probably going to strive a little bit higher than the players who are casually playing once a week. Maybe they're mentally not as invested in it as other players who might, grow a little bit faster than them.
100%. 100%. And that is a big benefit of what our club is going to be. Like, how do you gain experience? Oh, Coach Ona's back. We got you there.
I have no idea what just happened.
It's okay.
All good. All good. Jade was just commenting on like her thoughts on development and what that looks like in terms of, and this is the analogy she used, great analogy. If you don't use it, you lose it. And it's so true because for the kids that spend 1 or 2 days a week doing something, right? It could be anything, right? Learning how to code, right? We'll just use that as an analogy. You spend 1 or 2 days, sure, you'll get there eventually, but it's going to be a little bit slower as opposed to someone else who's spending multiple days doing it. And so when it comes to like developing our players, we want maximum touches on the ball. We want as much game experience as possible, right? And so I like to take this approach, and this is a little bit of my coaching philosophy when I'm training, and you guys tell me kind of like what's your thoughts about this, how you guys process this. When I'm training kids, yeah, it's good that we train. I love it. Training is my jam. It's cool. Hey, let's go do some dodging. Let's go do some footwork. Let's go do some shooting. Let's go work on deflections and interceptions. But if we are not applying those skills in a game, it's really hard to, get any type of experience. And that's whether you're in the game and just not willing to do those things, right? Or maybe you're not getting as much playtime. Those are two different, pathways that we can take and talk about. But that's the difference with our club, is like we are trying to maximize for as many reps and touches on the ball as you can under a watchful eye that can give you immediate feedback, but still allowing you to be creative, encouraging you to go home and to watch and to create your own thing. Because I could give you the system, but I need you to be able to create your own as well. I need you to go in and have fun with it. That's how you really grow, in my opinion. I don't know, do you guys agree with that thought too? It's like, hey, we'll give you some rules, lines to color inside of, but if you want to kind of go and build your own thing, go do that too. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of our practices, especially since we're so close to starting our high school season, a lot of our practices have consisted of live play with just broad concepts that we do warm-up drills in. Like maybe one day we're focusing on clears. We're focusing on defensive clears today. Our warm-ups are going to be focusing on those skills to make successful clears. And then we're going to do live play for the rest of practice. But I want you to focus on completing those defensive clears. So, I think, sorry, I just brain farted real quick. I didn't know where I was going with that.
No, it's okay. Yeah. No, you're talking about defensive clears, and you're talking about how you try and make sure that we're executing on those things in live gameplay.
Yes. Yeah. And giving them a lot of opportunities to have decision making on the field. I kind of give my goalies, I'm not a goalie coach. I know Ana is, but I'm not a goalie coach. So my concept of goalie coaching is giving them a go-to list of for scenarios of what's going to happen. And I'll let them make the call on the live play based on what's happening on the field. I'm not going to be directly telling them pass to so-and-so, because if another player is open, they think that's the best judgment call, they're going to make it. Only under the guidance of these are the broad rules of the situation, and you make a decision based on those rules.
And really quick, I want to touch upon that before I bring you in, Coach. Is I would hope that our club would get to a place in training, in practice, to by the time we get to these tournaments and these games, we don't even have to say too much on the sideline. We've cooked it into them. Oh, that would be the best. I want to sit down, pull out my chair, and just capture clips. You know what I mean? Now, obviously helping with substitutions, injuries, blah, blah, blah. And a little bit of guidance, but that's where the consistency comes in. That's where the development comes in. Because it's not just 1 or 2 days we're going to try and cram everything in. No, we're going to spend time. We're going to watch film. We're going to make sure that you understand spacing. But we also want to give you the flexibility and the leadership opportunities, right? Whether you're a quiet girl or, a very vocal young lady, to go out and flex those leadership skills. Because, again, let me remind everybody, this is only a summer program. Once we're done with summer, go bye-bye. Go back to your club. Go back wherever you want. And you got to go home, but you got to get the heck up out of here. You know what I mean? Because, again, this is all development. This is to just make you better so that by the time you go back to your high school team, your club team, whatever, you are 10 times better than what you once were. So, Coach Ona, development, right? Touches on the ball. The maximum number of days, and I keep stressing that. Thought process on that. What do you guys do with your team?
Sorry, it just cut out again.
No, it's all good. We still got you.
Okay, can you repeat the last little bit because it cut out? Sure. Sorry.
So, no, it's all good. And don't worry, we'll cut this up for YouTube. We'll clip it up for the gram.
Cut out our brain farting.
Hey, AI is a very powerful tool.
Make me look like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, my high schoolers are really taking my brain cells already.
Yeah.
Nah, well, really quick, I don't think I've ever asked this, Coach Ona. Do you teach there as well? I think I've asked. Maybe I have. I don't remember.
I don't teach there. I just.
Oh, okay. So you're.
I was a teacher at a different Catholic school. I was a PE teacher, and then once I took over the head coaching job, I just coached.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I was a walk-on too when I coached high school, and It was fun. It was different because obviously you're not there all day interacting with the kids, and so I had a little bit more mental stamina because I didn't have to, spend all day there. I was working from home, but God bless you, Jade. All right, so Coach Ona, so we were talking about development and what that looks like. And let me actually ask it this way: what would you prescribe to anyone out there who wants to develop a little bit faster in terms of their in-game understanding? Meaning, and we always use this word, lax IQ. What would be your prescription for that?
Obviously, more exposure to the game. That's the easiest thing to put. That's the easiest way, whether in all forms, whether it's reps, whether it's watching film, etc., getting with coaches, getting a trainer, getting whatever. That's the general way to put it. But then I would also say, figure out your pathway. So you figure out your why, and you figure out your outcome. But then once you figure out your outcome, kind of put that on the back burner and really sit down and figure out your process of how to get there, or figure out your pathway. So I feel like so much and so often with even let's say a high school program, right? You want a CIF ring. Everyone's always talking about, let's do this. It's ring season. But in between that, right? You're here and then you have the ring up here. If you just sit there and focus on this thing up here, you're going to forget all the small details in the middle. So I think really honing in and just going, okay, here's step one, and kind of how you mentioned earlier, like, let's read a little bit of a book each day, figure out your step one, see gauge how it makes you feel, and then move on from there. Maybe it's not always a clear-cut pathway for everyone, but realistically, the more little bits that you can do every single day, it'll get you there eventually.
100%. And just to touch upon that, it's what Jade had mentioned earlier, being mindful, having a certain level of mindfulness as a player, not just being, indifferent. And that's where, some kids will come in and be a little bit indifferent in certain regards. And that's okay, because guess what? That's where our coaches will come in, our great mentors, our great disciplers. We will come in and help you little children because, we're not always there, you know what I mean? And so we're there to help you and guide you. That's more for the parents, you guys out there, you moms and dads. Like, we're there to mentor your kids as well. We're not just there to give them the X's and O's. We're there to teach them and to partner alongside of you with your great parenting at home, how to process things in life. Because these skills that we teach in lacrosse, right, that's going to be utilized in so many different facets of life. Your relationships, your marriages, your jobs, all this, whatever. It's going to cross over. But I want to touch upon one thing too, when it comes to kind of being mindful. What Jay talked about, which Coach Ona talked about, is one of the things that we're going to do as a club is have an entrance interview, essentially, like a goal-setting session for each of our players. And I think it's a good time to mention as well, Prime Lacrosse Club is only going to consist of 20 kiddos, okay? 20 kiddos. Let me break that down really quick. 20 kids, basically 6 attackers, 6 middies, 6 defenders, and 2 goalies. And the reason why we're selecting 20 kids is so that we don't overbloat the roster, and we make sure that that promise, that mission, that vision that we've had of making sure that kids are developing by getting as many touches on the ball, so much exposure, right, good training, is limited to those number of participants, right? I'll just throw in this little story before I get back to it, is I've heard so many kids, hey, we have 30 kids on the roster. We called in some free agents. They were ringers. I got 0 play time. And I've been there the whole time. That's never going to happen. Ever. Okay, you're going to get play time. We're going to have offensive middies and defensive middies. So you're going to be running. You're going to be working. You know what I mean? So there's only 2 subs for each of those skill positions, and then obviously 1 extra goalie. But having a game planning session is going to be super important. I want to see what your individual goals are, and then we'll give you the team kind of goals. But then we'll also check back in the middle of the season. Hey, how's it going? Right? Month number 2, we're entering it. Let's just see if we're kind of like tracking alongside. How are we doing? Are we enjoying the club, right? We want to make sure that our people are happy, right? We want to make sure that if there are any concerns, we're addressing them. Because what I've come to know inside the corporate world, working a job, when you don't check in on your people and see how we're doing and addressing any things just like consistently, they could build up a little resentment, could build up a little bit of stuff in our heart that, you know, is not productive for the team environment. So we always want to be checking in on our people and not overdoing it. Like, hey, how you doing today? How you doing today? How you doing right now? No, it's more like, hey, we all have a goal. We have expectations for everyone, but we want to make sure that we are an outlet for you. Because look, I can't speak to this. You guys can speak to this. This is what I've been told. It's hard being a high school girl. It's hard being a high school girl.
Yes, it is.
There's a lot of things today that maybe we didn't have back in the day. Social media being one of them. So, you know, we'll talk about that too. You know, the pressures of life, the pressures of that. But, you know, we definitely want to make sure that we are providing a good environment for open dialogue and transparency, and that our doors is always open. I think any great coach has a good open door policy. Hey, you can come and talk to us as the coaches and things like that, to the certain extent that you feel comfortable, you know. But we also want to involve parents too. You know, I think having a good conversation with the expectations on parents is going to be super important as well. Look, we could talk about the easy stuff. Look, if we're coaching on the sideline, I just want you to cheer. That's the way I want you to support our team, right? We don't need any additional coaching or anything like that, because it's very confusing for the athlete. Listening to mom, listening to dad, you say do this, but coach said do that. Their teammates are saying do this, and the other teammates are saying you suck. So, like, we got to figure that out, right? But making sure that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities, and we're kind of looking back at those goals that we set. The things that you said you wanted to, maybe we might have to edit a little bit as we get further along in the season, right? And then we'll finish off with an exit interview. Like, hey, how do we do this whole summer season, right? Obviously, we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to talk about this because we're coming to the close of our conversation. Our team events, our team nights, some of our coaches have some very great ideas. It's going to be super fun. Even my wife was chiming in with ideas. Oh, well, what if you do this? I was like, okay, well, that's cool. That sounds fun. I'll have to clear with the coaches. We'll check it out. But yeah, that's going to be a super important thing to make sure that we're staying on track and that we're checking in with our peoples. You know, like, we want to make sure that our kids, right, and we say that figuratively, our kids on our team are getting the most out of the program, and they're learning the most, and they feel cared for and valued, that they're not just another number or an X or an O, right? That when we send them off and they go back to their clubs, we forget their names, or, you know, we don't even check in on. That's not my style. I feel like that's not your girl styles, you know, and that unfortunately does happen. So I've heard very many things, you know, and I've heard it not just from clubs in California, all over the country, and for every sport, you know, and so we want to just be mindful of that. So anyways, I say all that to let you know we care. We're here for you. We got your back. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about something real fun really quick, okay? Team events. Now, I know when we had this conversation, the introduction conversation with both of us, I said, you know what? What's really cool is that we get to play lacrosse, but what's even cooler is that we get to play it together and we get to do some team fun stuff. You know what I mean? Is that going to the beach? I hate the beach, but look, if the kids want to go, we'll go. Okay, I hate the sand. It's the worst. Maybe a team movie, a team dinner, right? A team yoga session, right? Let's do that. Let's rest and recover. Let's do all that fun stuff. Maybe a team library visit where we all read a book. I don't know. I don't think the kids would enjoy that, but that's an idea for mindfulness. So what was one of the ideas that you guys threw out in terms of our team events that we're going to be conducting as well? I don't know if you guys remember it. It was a good idea.
Wait, we had an idea already?
Oh yeah. We was talking about it. We were like, this would be a really cool idea if we practice, like, I think it was around mindfulness, but like maybe having a day around it or something.
Yeah, journaling.
Yes.
My girls journal. It's been very helpful for goal setting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in my program at Temecula Valley, every player got a journal just specifically for lacrosse. And a lot of practices before we even put our cleats on or before we even get into some partner passing or any kind of like warm up, we go into our journals and we do some goal setting. And a lot of this goal setting, I will ask them to keep it private, because if we keep it private, to ourselves, then we can be a little more in touch with what we're actually looking for out of it. And the goal setting becomes a little more accurate and more personal for them. So that's been a great thing as well. They also reflect on it at the end of practice. Also, we'll do 5 minutes at the beginning, sometimes 5 minutes at the end if I remember to do it at the end. And it's been really great for them staying focused on their goal for the day. But yeah, I absolutely think that journaling could be very beneficial for them, not just for goal setting, but even just putting their thoughts down about the week. Maybe they want to,
100%.
reflect on the good things that happened over the weekend. Maybe they want to share their honest thoughts in their journal about, how a game went or even how practice went too. And, with journaling, there can also be group activities too. I've done a lot of fun stuff to where I'm like, you go ahead and draw a play that you think would be great in this situation in your journal and share with a partner or whatever.
I love that.
We can add a lot of creativity with those journals as well. Mm-hmm.
No, I just want to comment on that because I think that is so important to give them a piece of it, right? Like this is not just something you're coming to do. This is something that you're actively part of. Like this is yours. So yeah, dude, if you want to be a field general and you want to flex that skill, coach, give me the whiteboard. I got this. Yeah. All right, let me sketch this because of something I could do. I
love when players do that
with a happy heart. You know what I mean? Like I got this. I see this. This is what I see. Now maybe sometimes we got to rein it in a little bit. Be like, okay, hold on now. Like you tried that last time and maybe that didn't work out. But hey, I appreciate the try and we'll support you through that thing. Yeah, that's totally good. Yeah, so team events, we definitely are going to have them. Multiple, not just like 1 or 2 nights, or not even nights. It's just team days. Like we might take a practice session and focus on that, where we play flag football, or I don't know. It's just
it's highly important for them to connect outside of lacrosse.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
There's a huge difference. I mean, I see it with my team too. Like the girls that bond with each other outside lacrosse versus not. Like you see it on the field for sure.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that. We can make that an hour-long podcast, but we won't do that to the peoples. Go ahead on.
Hear me out. We can do a team Olympics, split the team into different countries, and run them through a whole different day.
I've always wanted to do that.
Especially as 2028 is coming up.
Yes.
Especially as 2028 is coming up. It's going to be dope.
They can be competing in all sorts of things. We can have the Prime Olympics one day.
I love it. That's fantastic.
That'd be great.
That's a great idea. We'll have to jot all these down. All right, guys. So we're coming to the end. I appreciate your time. A couple of last things I will say just in regards to the club, just to kind of like let everybody know out there, just to recap it. 5 days a week, summer program, high school only right now. If we get enough demand for middle school, we may consider it. We want to find good qualified coaches that have a good heart and love and passion for the game, right? Recruitment guidance, film study, strength time. Okay, let's talk about that really quick. I'll just go ahead and hammer that. 3 days of strength training. It is crazy to me today that kids don't even do body weight resistance training for any sport. And then they expect them to be faster. And you know what the biggest thing is? One of the biggest things that I get hit up all the time for training. Can I get a faster first step? Can you help me with that? I'm like, I can, but are you in the weight room? Are you doing plyometrics, right? Are you pushing against resistance? Because in our sport, we have to run against resistance. What does that look like? We could work on some technique, but you might want to get with a running coach for that. That's something we're going to solve for. Okay, we're going to get strong. We got 3 months of work, of dedicated work to get really strong. And it's going to help you with explosiveness. It's going to help you with being able to handle the rigors of the game. It's going to also help you with injury prevention. So we're going to be definitely doing that. Team events, we talked about it. Let's talk about the swag really quick. There's going to be some dope swag. We're going to be launching it. The uniforms are going to be pretty dope, if I do say so myself. The team shirts going to be pretty dope, if I do say so myself. And I say so myself because I'm designing it. So there you go. I like to design things. That's going to be my jam. but we'll do that. But let's wrap the conversation up with this. So my name is Gabriel. I'm married to Sashi. I got 2 kids, 2 little boys. I've coached for over 10 years now, and I'm very, very excited about the launch of Prime Lacrosse Club. This is something that's been in my mind for the last couple of years, and I haven't done it because I just haven't had the right people. But now I do. We got Coach Jade and we got Coach Ona, and we're super excited about working with our potential players and really helping them grow as a lacrosse player, but more so as a good person throughout these next 3 months in June when we start. And so if you're interested in our club, go ahead and hit the link somewhere. It's either in the description, or you can comment depending on if this is on YouTube or Instagram. Go ahead and hit that link, and we'll send you some information on how to join the club. So last words, Coach Jay, Coach Ona, give us your last words and we'll send it off.
I'm really excited about this opportunity. I think it's going to be a fantastic opportunity for the players as well. This is something that I haven't gotten to do before. I haven't gotten to coach a club team this consistently in a season before, and it's going to be so rewarding for everybody involved, not just for the players in developing their skill, but I feel that, us as coaches, we're going to benefit greatly from this experience, going day in and day out, being so locked in on developing the team themselves. It's going to be very great for our coaching as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I think it's a really...
End it there. We're done here.
Honestly.
She's pumped.
I'm
Let's
pumped.
call it.
I think it's a great experience for not only us 3, but it's going to be awesome for the families involved, the kids, and really not just focusing on lacrosse, but the whole athlete and growing them on and off the field and creating better people that the world needs. So I'm pumped.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm
we're very
so
excited. Thank you guys so much for for jumping in on the call. I should say this too. I don't think we mentioned this, but in terms of specialties, Coach Ona is a very, very skilled goalie coach. And tell us really quick about your organization too.
I work for Crease Coach. So it was founded by Johnny Rodriguez. He is a really, really awesome guy. He is not only he's been a great goalie. He was the head boys lacrosse coach at Modern Day until he recently got diagnosed with ALS. And he now has a foundation, shout out Athletes versus ALS. But he is also just a really great mentor. So we do skill clinics down in San Diego with Nick Washuta, and then up in Orange County and all over the place. So goalies, hey, I'm your person, or we all are, but
that's right. No.
Yeah.
You definitely are the right person for that. Because like Jade said earlier, I don't know what I'm doing in that. I don't have the
not my specialty
courage
at all.
or the heart to step into the cage. Like we used to tell the parents, look, if that's not your ministry, you can go and shag balls. Look, okay, I will go and shag the balls. I will not be a goalie. So we will pass them on to Coach
we all
Ona
bond over the fact that we're a little weird.
It's tough. It's a tough job. So appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much for everyone who stayed with us for this hour and learned a little bit more about who we are as a coaches and what our program is about. And we will be coming to a field near you this summer. So, all right, everyone, make sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe bell or notification bell or whatever the bell is. Hit it so you know when we're dropping the next video. Bye-bye, everyone. You guys could say bye.
Okay, bye.